Man, this card is so stacked. Jack Shore versus Timur Valiev. Now, if you think about the last time we saw Timur Valiev, the only knock I've seen from him, and his fights for me just seem to be like the Ronnie Barcelos fight. Like I build that in my brain as a borderline main event. I was so excited for it. And think about the previous one with Trevin Jones and Timur Valiev. He was doing so good till he got absolutely clipped. That irresponsibility factor, right? That's where we had pegged Timur Valiev after that fight. And now he's getting a guy like Jack Shore. And let's be real, Valiev, I'm going to give him the edge in the striking. Now, a lot of people have been hyping Jack Shore's wrestling for good reason. But I got to be honest, man, when you look at what Timur Valiev has accomplished in his fights over the course of his career, I think you don't want to underestimate another fighter's abilities because of how good you think another one's is. And Timur Valiev's wrestling is legit. His grappling ability is very much there, and we've seen him execute on several stages, including the UFC. So I think in this case, you have to really consider the striking game. Not only do you have to give Timur Valiev the edge, but then you have to figure out how good is Jack Shore going to be on the feet. Because for me, that's really where Timur Valiev can really put a stamp on this entire fight, right? You think about Jack Shore constantly trying to push pace and find those wrestling takedowns, and if you're Timur Valiev, I mean, not only defending the takedowns, but finding those counter shots, setting up big combos. I mean, those leg kicks are for real. You can slow down Jack very easily with those. And I got to be honest, with Jack, it's got to be elusiveness. You got to be setting things up. You got to be really keeping Timur on his back foot, because I think in this case, if he starts gaining that confidence, if he knows he can start landing big shots, I really believe that Valiev, at full confidence, is a very dangerous fighter. And if he gets that edge in the striking game, it's really going to spell for a bad fight for Jack. And that's where you have to keep a fighter who might have an advantage like that on his back foot. So I think Jack's going to be trying to utilize some of his improved striking, try to get this fight to the ground as quickly as possible, and kind of just maul him from that top position. I think Timur Valiev might be really good from that top position, but if he's on his back, how good is he really good? You know, how good can he be opposed to the get-ups? Because we've seen some really good things from him, but Jack's going to be putting that pressure on. He's going to be able to try and maneuver his way into opportunistic positions because that's what he's looking for. He needs to find those submission opportunities. And I got to be honest, I really like Jack as a fighter, but you look at his look at his record, and it's hard to see where a fight like this is the biggest fight of his career, despite everything he's accomplished with the Cage Warriors promotion in the past. I'm finding this one very difficult to predict. And the reason why is I just think it comes down to Valiev and how good Jack Shore's striking is. And the reason I say that is the X factor is Valiev has been questionable chin-wise, and his decision-making has allowed fighters to, find ways to get in there. And, he hasn't had to eat that loss because Trevin Jones smoked a little bit of that ganja. So, all in all, this is the toughest fight to call on the prelims. I think that Valiev should be a favorite here, about minus 130. I give him an edge from an athletic perspective and an MMA fighter perspective. I think that Jack Shore is being compared to the Khabibs and the GSPs very freely, and like I said, I don't disagree with people making those kinds of assumptions. I mean, we have this terrible habit as sports fans to compare the up and coming to the already established, and I if we're gonna preach this whole idea in regular life as people are their own person, I mean, at the end of the day, I think sports work the same way. But rankings are rankings, and totem poles are totem poles, and people are trying to climb them. So let's go with Valiev as a minus 130. I think that he should have an edge there, but if Shore can keep this fight away from very disadvantaged spots on the feet, I think he's got a big chance to try and come away with a win here. So let's take a look. Hometown crowd, what can he do? This fight's a pick'em. I was pretty close there. So Timur Valiev opens as a minus 188. Got that all the way down to minus 120 on average. Then we have Jack Shore, plus 140 opener and a minus 110 in some places. So like I said, guys, my difficulty in trying to predict this fight is clearly stated by the movement with Vegas, and I might have to sit back and watch this one from a betting perspective. But from a pick, I do like Timur just from having that pure MMA fighter style to kind of have opportunities to win this fight no matter where it goes. And with Jack, it's like, can he compete on the feet? Is he going to be able to get Timur down? Those are all the questions where with Valiev, he has good defense. So let's wait for that one. It's going to be incredibly fun. A potential fight of the night. And I honestly just can't wait.